Good morning, fourth grade. We are going to keep building background knowledge about ecosystems in preparation for our new novel, Hoot. Before we get started, we're going to do a warm-up about theme. So I'm going to read this paragraph, and I need you to think about what the theme of the story is. In his sophomore year of high school, Michael Jordan tried out for the varsity basketball team at Laney High School in Wilmington, North Carolina. But at 5 feet and 11 inches tall, the coach believed that Jordan was too short to play at that level. So Jordan was cut from the team. Jordan didn't let his obstacle defeat him. In fact, it pushed him to work even harder. He trained vigorously and grew another 4 inches the following summer. When he finally made the varsity squad, Jordan averaged 25 points a game and went on to become one of the greatest basketball players in history. What is the theme of the story? Well, I believe the theme of this story is perseverance, because even though Michael Jordan, so write that down for number one. The theme of the story is perseverance. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the details. And it says, what details from the text supports your answer? Well, Michael Jordan didn't make the basketball team the first time, but he didn't give up and he worked hard and made it the following year. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the focus questions. We want to know, how can humans affect ecosystems? And how does the theme of this article connect to a fragile system? So we're going to think about how the great cactus tree and a fragile system sustains us, how those themes are connected. Our vocabulary words for today are fragile. That's something that's easily broken, like this egg. Pollinate. That's when bees come to flowers and they feed on them, and then the flowers are able to bloom and make other flowers. And then we have smoldering, and that is just like a look of anger. So we have a picture of Chris Pratt just looking really smoldering and, intense and angry. All right, turn in your notes packet to A Fragile System Sustains Us. Before we start reading, we want to ask a how and a why question about the title, because we know this is a nonfiction text. So, my how question might be, how does a fragile system sustain us? How does a fragile system sustain us? Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the why question. We could also say, why does a fragile system sustain us? Press pause to write down your why question and play when you're ready for the main idea. After we read this passage, our first main idea is going to be the answer to the how question. Our second main idea is going to be the answer to the why question. And in boxes 2 and 3, we're going to collect evidence for our how and our why question. I'm going to read paragraphs 1 and 2, and I want you to underline the answer to the question, how does a fragile system sustain us? Follow along as I read out loud. Humanity's progress, particularly in the mid-19th century, has been largely the result of our ability to get used to what planet Earth has to offer. All told, the food we eat, the timber we cut, and the water we draw amounts to an astounding 1/3 to 1/2 of global ecosystem production. But humans are part of nature, and like other species on the planet, we depend upon healthy ecosystems for our survival. Nature provides us essentials like clean water, food, medicines, even recreational retreats. Intact ecosystems also help regulate weather and climate. So let's pause for a moment. How does a fragile ecosystem sustain us? If I go back in this first paragraph, it says, all told, the food we eat, the timber we cut, and the water we draw amounts to an astounding 1/3 to 1/2 of global ecosystem production. I'm going to underline that sentence because it answers my how question. We get food, timber or wood for shelter, and water from the ecosystems. If I go back in the second paragraph, I know that nature provides us with essentials like clean water, food, medicines, even recreational retreats. That's another way a fragile system sustains us. Underline both of those sentences, and I want you to write them in box 2. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the main ideas. If we combine these two details, we can get our main idea. We know that humans get everything necessary for life from Earth's ecosystems, like water, food, medicine, and materials for shelter. Press pause to write down your answer in 1B and play when you're ready to keep reading. I'm going to keep reading paragraph 3 through 6 to figure out the answer to our why question. Why does this fragile system sustain us? Be ready to underline a sentence that will help answer our question. But these systems are extremely fragile. Remember, we're thinking, why are they fragile? And we're only now beginning to understand the myriad interactions and interdependencies that sustain them. And we know that once they're gone, there are no replacements. Changing our behavior and needs to preserve these Earth's ecosystems will be neither easy nor inexpensive. But we are to feed, clothe, and care for ourselves into the future. Taking drastic steps will be essential. A growing awareness of our dependencies on the natural world can spur new efforts to reverse the decline of ecosystems. Conservationists, along with local communities, must work together to help protect entire natural systems. Alongside the aesthetic and ethical reasons to save the world's remaining natural places, there exists a practical realm known as ecosystem services. Scientists define ecosystem services as all the things that nature provides us, free of charge. Some are as obvious as clear mountain spring water. Others are subtle and still unknown. Explore some of the services in world's diverse ecosystems provided below. And that is what we've already done in our small groups. So let's go back up to the third paragraph. Why does the fragile system sustain us? Well, the text says that we're only beginning to understand how everything in the ecosystems interact, but we do know that once they're gone, there will be no replacements. Underline this sentence and write it down for 3A. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the main idea. If we were to put this in our own words, we would say that each ecosystem is sustained by a series of interactions among the members in the ecosystem. If something happens to some of the parts, the whole system falls apart. Press pause to write down your second main idea and play when you're ready for box 4. It says, what is the responsibility of humans when interacting with fragile ecosystems? Well, if we go to paragraphs 4 through 6, it gives us some tips about how what we can do to protect the fragile ecosystems. Because remember, if we don't protect these ecosystems, they can't be replaced, and that means we would be without food, water, shelter, and other materials that we need. The text says, changing our behavior and needs to preserve the Earth's ecosystem will be neither easy nor inexpensive. But it is saying that we do have to change our behavior. Underline this sentence in your text. It also tells us that conservationists, along with local communities, must work together to help protect the entire natural system. Underline this sentence, and then write both of these sentences in box 4. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the paragraph. How can humans affect ecosystems? Well, you could start out by talking about how ecosystems are fragile. And humans need ecosystems because ecosystems give them food, water, shelter, and medicine. But the job of humans is to protect the ecosystems. Press pause to write down your paragraph. And if you finish early, you can complete your exit ticket.